Hey everybody, welcome to day 4. Woo! We made it to day 4 of your health boot camp. I've had a great time this week with all of you coming on here and participating and seeing how you're using the vision boards that we created, how they're popping up new themes in your life that maybe you didn't even know were there, or just clarifying for yourself what it is that you are really desiring in your life and in your health. So, hey Sarah and hey Kath, it's great to see you guys on here. Mwah. Hi Kristen, welcome to day 4. And I was just saying that it's been so fun to sort of see how something like a vision board, like this, can act as a different tool for different people. But the feedback that I've been getting is that it's been really amazing for everybody. Different ways, sometimes it's helping us see themes that we really care about that we didn't know were there. That definitely happened for me when I created my vision board. And perhaps, I've had feedback from others where it's just made it easier for them to show and share with other people in their loved ones what it is that they need and what it is that they want in their lives. So however it's been working for you, it's been really fun to kind of go on this journey. And so for our last day, the big question is, okay, let's look at what comes next. How do we keep moving forward? How do we keep achieving what we want to achieve in our health and in our life? How do we not let go of this vision that we have created, but instead, how do we keep striving forward towards it, right? So let me just see if I can pop the comments up on my computer. And if we are going, there we go. Okay. All right. So, I want to recap really quickly what we've done this week. So first, right, we started with what I call defining your destination, creating your vision board with you at the center, the important areas of your life around the outside, the images, the words, the things that really speak to you in those areas. We likened it to going on a vacation. You're not going to go on a vacation and not know where you're headed, right? You're going to choose your destination. You're going to identify where you are going before you start going there. And that's the same in life. When you are making changes in your life, you need to know what your destination is. Where are you headed before you start going? And then that was Monday. So Tuesday, our day 2, we then took this vision board and we extracted the themes that we saw. What are the things that really popped out at you, right? I had mentioned down here in my living section that something that surprised me actually was that basically 50% of the images that I put down there that really spoke to me had to do with my relationship with my partner, with my husband. And, it's a great relationship, but obviously there was something in there that I needed to be looking at. So that was really helpful and really positive for me. And you guys were talking about the themes that you extracted, the things that kind of came up for you as you went through the vision board. So that was day 2. That was a really beautiful day. And the key question there, if you remember, was then looking at the themes and deciding, is this something that I can actually do something about right now? Is this something that I can move forward towards? Or is this something that I don't really have control over at the moment and is not a good place for me to be putting my energy? And that was a really critical question that we asked that day. So then the third day, I'm going to keep with this sort of travel theme here for a second, right? Our first day was defining the destination. The second day, pulling out the themes, you can think of that in terms of, so if you decide your destination for a vacation is Hawaii, right? There are a lot of different things you can do in Hawaii. You can go swimming with the dolphins. You can go climbing up and hiking through the volcanoes. You can go out on a snorkeling or scuba diving trip. You can go on a sailing boat. You can go visit plantations, all sorts of things you can do when you go to Hawaii. So our first day was deciding maybe we want to go to Hawaii. The second day, looking at the themes, is basically, it's very similar to when you're going on a trip, deciding what you want to focus on when you go on that vacation. What are the important things? Are there people you really want to see and get in touch with? Are there specific activities you want to be doing, right? You're pulling out those themes, pulling out what it is that you want to do. So that was sort of day 2. Day 3, the magical morning strategies. It's one of my favorite things to talk about, actually. The really tangible steps that you can start taking to create days for yourself where you have the focus and energy to be able to follow through with traveling down this path that you're creating for yourself. And I liken that to, if you're going on a vacation, that's sort of the moment where you decide what to pack in your bags. Now you know the activities that you're going to be doing on vacation. You know the different things that you need to pack in order to be able to go. So I would love to hear from you guys. Now you've had a day to sort of digest what we talked about yesterday, those magical morning strategies. Do you remember the exercise in the morning, getting some time out in nature, exposure to the natural light, right? Creating a sleep sanctuary for yourself, taking care of your microbiome, right? Eating the right nutrients to give yourself the really peaceful sleep so that when you wake up in the morning, you can have that magical morning. And having a meditation or some sort of a self-reflective, self-awareness practice in the morning so that you can work on closing down all the various things that are going on in your brain when you get to sleep and only have sleep at night. So I'd love to hear from you guys, what are the things that really struck you? What are the things that really you would like to implement in your life? You would like to kind of put in place or think further about. And just type them into the comments thread. Let me know what were the things that really struck you yesterday. And one of the comments that we had yesterday from Kristen actually was regarding the sleep sanctuary, right? I had talked about the only things you want in your bedroom are the 2 S's, sex and sleep. And all the other distractions, it's better if it's not in your bedroom. So she asked, well, what about this kind of morning meditation or a mindfulness practice in the morning? Is that okay to be in your sleep sanctuary? And it was such a great question. And the answer is not necessarily a clear-cut answer. But what I wanted to say about that is when you think about creating your sleep sanctuary, you want the activities in there to be things that are either leading you into sleep or bringing you out of sleep. But once you've come out of sleep, and you've started your day, then it should not be in your room anymore, because then your brain is activated in a new way. It's activated in a way that's getting you ready for your day, that you're alert, right? And those are the kinds of things we don't want in your room. We don't want you to walk into your bedroom and have your brain activate in a way that it's actually doing something and it's on alert and it's processing, right? You want it to walk into your bedroom and have this feeling of it's time to close down all the windows for the day and only have the sleep window open. So I think if your mindfulness practice happens as part of your bedtime routine, then that works really well. Similarly, if it's like one of the first things you do when you wake up in the morning and it's how you kind of emerge out of your sleep, then that also is another great way to do it. With a mindfulness practice, it's interesting because with mindfulness, what you're doing is actually learning how to stop the chatter in your head, right? To not have your brain going all the time, because we do currently have our brain going all the time. It's actually one of the things that makes it hard to keep our patience or to maintain perspective in a difficult situation, because your brain is constantly feeding and firing off all these different things, right? With a mindfulness practice, one of the things you're doing is you're quieting that down, so you actually create more mental space to have more patience, to have more perspective, and those kinds of things. So I would say it is probably the one thing that you could do in your bedroom in addition to the other two S's. But it also could be really positive to create a mindfulness practice that's outside of your room, that is out in the greater world, as a way to help your body realize that this openness of mind is something that can happen anywhere. It can happen on your deck. It can happen in your backyard. It can happen in your car, wherever you happen to be. So there is something to be said for having your mindfulness practice not located in your bedroom. Again, unless it's part of your bedtime routine and getting yourself ready for bed. So Kristen had brought that up yesterday, and I thought it was such a brilliant question, and I wanted to be able to mention that on the call today. So thank you so much for asking that question. All right, I'm going to check out some of our comments over here. So I love this. Kristen posts from yesterday. The thing that she really is kind of taking home right now is this idea of completing a sleep sanctuary. And in that, continuing to create a pre-bedtime routine, something that happens regularly every day and allows her body to kind of get ready for sleep. Having that sort of bedtime routine, when I'm working with clients, I often suggest it should be about an hour. This does not mean you have to be pampering yourself and getting ready for bed for an hour, but it means that you're doing approximately the same thing every evening, the last hour before you go to bed. Whether that's tidying up the living room, checking on your kids, letting the dog or cat outside one more time, finishing the dishes, whatever it happens to be. And then moving into your bedtime routine so that when you get to bed, when you actually are falling into bed, your body's like, oh, I've been getting ready for bed for the last hour. Your melatonin has all of a sudden gone like this and is now nice and high, and helps create a space for you to be able to fall asleep well and stay asleep. So I love that. Completing your sleep sanctuary, really focusing on your bedtime routine and merging those things together so you have a really beautiful night of sleep, then creating this magical morning the next day. Jen says that she loved hearing about the cortisol and melatonin peaks. Awesome. So it allowed her to kind of look at patterns that she has where she tends to overstimulate her mind when she should be focused on sort of calming that down. That is a great insight to have. It's true for so many of us, right? When we're in this go, go, go pattern, that the evening happens and we keep going just the same. And we forget that, we're supposed to calm ourselves down before we go to bed. I was actually just listening to this great lecture, and the doctor who was talking was pointing out, he's like, when you think about kids going to bed, what do you do as a parent? You always create a bedtime routine for them, right? It's the same thing that they do every night before they go to bed. And it starts with putting clothes and toys away maybe, and putting your jammies on, or going and taking a bath or a shower, brushing their teeth, washing their face, getting their room ready for them to go to sleep, finding their favorite stuffed animal, picking out a book, reading a story, singing a song, all those kinds of things. And somehow along the way, as an adult, we stop doing that. And if you think about why, as parents, we create bedtime routines for our children, it's because it works, right? They go to bed better. As a parent, you want your kid to fall asleep. So you're going to do everything that you can to make that happen in as painless and as positive a way as possible. And one of the things that works really well is creating a bedtime routine with your child. Yet we forget to do that as adults, right? It's so crazy. Why do we not do this as adults? I have no idea. So the logic is there, right? We should be doing it still. And allowing ourselves that time and that space to really come down from the day, calm down from the day, put what we need to put aside, bring in what we want to bring into that space, whether it's books or music or, whatever it happens to be for you. There's all sorts of things that you can do. So that's a great realization, Jen. I loved having you bring that up, and really ties back into what Kristen was saying too about creating this bedtime routine and enhancing her sleep sanctuary so she really is getting the best night of sleep. So we have one more. Kristen says, I have a writing desk for journaling and note writing in my bedroom. Does this mean I should not use it? Or is it okay to retreat to my room for a period in the middle of the day? Or should I find another place? That's another great question. I would say ideally it might be in another place. If you kind of consider what we've been talking about and what we're trying to create so that when we walk into our bedroom, our brain knows exactly what it's supposed to be doing, then you would then have this kind of corner for yourself, because it sounds like it wants to be a cozy space, right? For journaling and for note-taking and things like that, writing letters, whatnot. I think it is helpful then to have that somewhere else. However, sometimes it's not always possible. So I think what we want to do is do our best to create the space that we can, and make sure that if it is something like a writing desk where you're just writing letters, you're journaling, things like that, and it's sort of a cocooning kind of space, and you're doing those types of activities, to really make sure you create it in that way. So that it's a clean space, it's not a chaotic space, it's a place that feels warm, that feels cozy, that feels welcoming. It's a place where when you go to it, your body relaxes. You don't want it to be a space where when you go to it, like a regular desk, right? Like, you can't see it, it's behind the poster. But you don't want it something like that where when you go, you're stimulated to be active. So there are ways you can kind of go about creating that space for yourself, even if it is in your bedroom, to make it that sort of warm, inviting, and space that's going to allow you to relax into it. But it is one that you'd want to be careful about. Does that make sense? Let me know if you have a follow-up question about that, or anyone else has a comment or question about it. And Jen also mentioned one thing that she plans to start doing is to stop checking her phone 2 hours before bed. Yay! I have to say that this is actually one of the stickiest points that I get to with clients, is this idea that screen time before we sleep is not good for us. And there was a pretty recent study that came out looking at the effects of blue light, right, and our sleep, and found that for every hour of blue light you have right before bed, it keeps your melatonin levels from going up for a half an hour after you stop using that device. So say you're on your computer or your phone for, you're working in the evening, and you are on your computer or your phone for a couple hours before you go to bed. So once you go to bed then and you fall asleep, guess what? It's a whole hour of sleep at least before your melatonin level can start rising like it's supposed to, which means that entire first cycle of sleep is not going to be as deep, as restful, as healing, or relaxing as it's supposed to be. Isn't that crazy? this is one that I just found out about this research a week ago. So this is news to me even. I mean, I knew blue light was not good, but that's crazy that it can extend out that far and be that damaging to your sleep for that first chunk of time when we are in the deepest sleep during those first stages. So cutting off your blue light is really one of the most amazing things you can do for the quality of your sleep. And I always recommend people do that at least an hour before bed. You can sort of calculate that, right? And see what would make sense for you. But just keep that in the back of your mind, because I think it is really, really important. So Jen, mwah, kisses to you. That is a great, great goal to have and a great thing to start doing for yourself. All right, a quick sip of water. So I want to look a little bit at what's next, right? So we have these first steps that we can take. You even have the themes from your board and can start to extract the first steps. Jen says, I'd love to see that blue light research. I'll send it to you. Actually, I'll just post it on the page so you guys can all take a look. All right, so we have these themes, right? And you can even start to take your themes and create your own steps to get you towards where your goal is for that particular theme. Sorry, more comments coming in. I have to read this one. It was funny. Sarah says she's bumming that she won't be playing solitaire on her phone pre-sleep anymore. I guess I'll have to get a deck of real cards, she says, and then keep them in the living room. Okay, that totally cracked me up. Yes, that is a great plan. I love that. So yeah, get a real deck of cards. You know, it's actually fun. I recently started playing cards on a real deck of cards again instead of on a device, and I forgot how much more fun it is to play with real cards. The only bummer is you have to like shuffle and deal, so it takes more time. But I actually do really like the cards. And Kath says that she lives on her own and so spends a lot of time on Facebook chat in the evenings to talk to people. So she will also remember to turn off her phone. And yes, would love to see the research too. I will definitely post that on our Facebook page so you guys can take a look. So that is great. And it's interesting, Kath. So I'm going to say one more thing about this. When you are making a change like that, right? Because there is value to you in being on Facebook and chatting with people in the evenings, you know, and chatting with them before bed, right? It's not a mindless activity necessarily. You're having a connection there. There's something that's going on. So one key that I would say when you are replacing a habit, so you're not just adding in something new, right? You're wanting to replace a habit, being on your phone or on your screen right before bed, and you want to replace that with something else. When you do that, it's really important to replace that habit with something of equal or greater value. Otherwise, it's not going to stick, right? You're going to just be bitter and annoyed that you're not getting to connect with people and be on your Facebook chat, and that you're having to do something else instead. It just doesn't work very well. Now, there's a key to this, however, is we can decide what is of greater or equal value. So finding something that, you know, is a good place to start, and then telling yourself that this is of greater or equal value. I do this with people all the time when we're working on nutrition as well, right? If you're trying to change your eating habits and you're having to cut out the chocolate cake that you love or something, finding something to replace it with of greater or equal value, well, most people aren't going to think like a carrot is of greater or equal value than a piece of chocolate cake. However, you can create something that you tell yourself is of greater or equal value and your body will recognize it as such. So there's a little bit of kind of, we got to outsmart ourselves sometimes when we're making those kinds of changes. So finding something, Kath, that you actually really love to do that is good for your body right before bed, whether that's picking up some books and reading, because you haven't had the time to read, or taking an Epsom salt bath or a shower instead. Whatever those things are, finding some sort of a movement practice that's good at relaxing your body. There's a whole host of different things that you can do, but making sure it's something that lights you up to replace the interaction that you get on the phone right before bed is really important when you're doing something like that. So that's my last little tip with making those kinds of changes. Okay, so now we really are going to move on to what's next. And I think the key to attaining long-term success with things like this is to not get ahead of ourselves. It's so easy when, especially if you've created a beautiful vision board and now you have a visualization of where your goals are leading you, right? It's so easy to just be like, I just am going to do it all right now, and it's going to be awesome, right? And we jump in with 2 feet and we're like, woo! And then a couple weeks later, it all falls apart and it doesn't work very well. So that's not a good way to go. There is a great quote that says, slow change is permanent change. And it's true when they tell you, change is not made in one leap or one solid bound. It's a lot of little steps that gets you there. So when you're looking ahead, when you're looking to see how can I achieve these goals, how can I really create the life and the health that I want, not getting ahead of ourselves and really honestly doing it one step at a time is probably the biggest key to success. So let's talk really quickly about a couple ways that you can keep your eye on the prize, so to speak. First way is to actually set reminders for yourself about what your goals are. It's so easy to get back into the mundane of life, the routine, the things that we know how to do all the time, and forget what our goals are, right? It's like life might not be perfect, but it kind of is what it is, and it's comfortable, and I know how to do it. And you can just sort of get into that routine. So setting up reminders of what your goals are. I had a client one time who was trying to change her eating habits, and she had little kids around the house. So she wasn't going to get rid of all of what we called her offending foods. But what she did is she put them all in one cupboard. And then she took an image that to her represented her goal of what she was working towards, why she was making these changes, what was in it for her, right? And she took that image and she stuck it right on the outside of that cupboard. So every time she was tempted to go into the cupboard and steal one of the kids' snacks, there was the image of her goal, right on the outside. To stop her from doing that, to remind her, you don't really want to reach for that snack because this is what you're driving towards. So whether that's finding an image and putting it on your bathroom mirror or on the visor in your car or on the back of your computer or whatever it is, but setting yourself up to remind yourself of why you want to make changes is really key, because it's not a one-day kind of deal, right? We don't get to just say, oh, I have this goal, and then bam, tomorrow it's done. It is something that happens over time. So having that reminder is really, really important. So that's the first one. The second thing that can really help is actually to list out, you're taking this one step at a time, but to list out a few steps in advance. And then put them on your calendar of when you think it's going to be an appropriate time to start it, right? So you're going to start step 1 today. And then maybe in 3 or 4 weeks, you're going to add step 2. And then maybe it makes sense 2 weeks later to add step 3, but then step 4 is not going to come for 2 more months. Whatever it is, right? It all depends on the steps about what it is you're going to, what you're implementing. The key with this one, however, is if you are going to do that, you also have to be flexible enough and willing to modify those steps as you're moving through this process if it becomes apparent that really you should be doing something else next. But when you do lay out a few steps in advance, it helps you to keep that long distance view and not get so caught up in what's going on right now. So I was just talking to a client this morning, and we were working on getting movement back into her life. And so her first step was going to be having a little bit of a dance party in the morning to get her energy up. Right? One of those magical morning things we were talking about yesterday. Get a little exercise first thing. And then she was talking about the next step would be doing a 10-minute walk on a regular basis. And I said, okay, let's put that on your calendar for the end of April. Let's just get settled in to this having a dance party in the morning. And then in a couple months, you can take a look at maybe doing a walk. By then, maybe the walk isn't the right way to go. Maybe it's something else, but she has it as a long-term view. So that's number 2. The third thing, and I think this is so important, is to make it fun. Do things that you enjoy. Find ways of changing your habits and creating a better health for yourself in a way that actually feels good to you and is something that is like, oh, that could be a fun thing to do, right? Like this client of mine this morning could have chosen all sorts of different things to start with. She chose to start with a dance party because she loves music. Music makes her happy. She loves to dance. She wishes she could do it more. It's a perfect place for her to start. And just like I was saying earlier, when I was replying to Kath about wanting to create or wanting to not be on her screen right before bed, when you are replacing something, make sure it's of greater or equal value. That goes back to the whole idea of make sure it's something that lights you up and that's fun. I have a mentor who's, was talking about, someone had asked, well, what's the best kind of exercise to do and movement to do? And, what order should you do it in? And he's like, you know what? Just stop right there. The best exercise to do is the one that you enjoy and the one that you'll actually do. And it's the same with all of these things, all of these different health routines that we can get ourselves into, right? Health changes that we want to make. The right one for you is the one that you'll actually follow through with. And the one that you'll actually follow through with is the one that feels good to your heart. The one that is fun for you. The one that lights you up and the one that brings you joy. So the last thing is, and this is by far the most important aspect of having a long-term vision and actually reaching for your long-term goals, is to make sure you have the support and the accountability from someone else so that you will follow through with your steps. And by someone else, I do not mean your spouse or partner. That is not the person you want to be looking to for your accountability and support when you're making life changes. It needs to be someone outside of that immediate circle. There are a lot of reasons for that. We won't go into them right now. They can be your biggest cheerleader, but they should not be your accountability and support person. So, and I will say, it's great to have one person. It is even better to have a group of people. Now, I have a group program that I have clients go through, and they go through this program together over the course of 9 months, and they're working on this long-term vision that we've been talking about this week of how to get themselves to where they really want to go. And I have found that the women who are in this group program, they go faster, their new habits become more sustainable, and they do more with their health and their life than they thought they were going to, compared to the women who I work with who still have success, but at a reduced level when they work with me just one-on-one. There is something about having that group support that's really so powerful. You get to watch other people on their journey. You get to be on a journey. You're going back and forth with ideas and with suggestions, and the support is just so beautiful that it allows you to really keep focus and really have that long-term vision of where it is that you want to go, what are the goals that you're trying to achieve, and how are you going to achieve them. Having that backing of a group is magical. So for sure, find your support, and if you can, find a group. So, how are we doing on time? Look at that. I want to say that my lasting wish for each and every one of you is to honor yourself and your health in your life to the point where you actually go out and find that support for yourself. That will allow you to get on the front side of your health. And what do I mean by that? So you will notice that as a society, we're very reactive when it comes to our health, right? Do you know what I'm talking about? Basically, we wait for something to happen. We wait for ourselves to feel a certain way, to feel bad, to have aches and pains, to get sick. And then we do something about our health, or we try. My goal in my work and for each of you is to stop being reactive to our health, but instead to get on the front side of it. So to build a foundation that will support you so that you're not waiting for the next thing to happen, but instead you feel secure in the health that you have, knowing that it will help you get through life and have the life and the energy and all the rest of it that you desire. So the best way to change this, to go from being reactive to our health to being on the front side, is to find that support to help you maintain that long-term vision that you have for yourself. Keep track of the goals that you have come up with, the themes that have popped out to you this week. To find the support that will allow you to keep moving in that direction so that you can have that foundation underneath you of a really solid health so that you can enjoy life and not be worried about when's the next thing going to happen to me. So I want you to tell me, where is that support coming for you? Who is that person in your life? Who is that group of people that you have that will help you support or help support you so that you can keep your long-term goals and your long-term vision? And I had mentioned at the very beginning that there will be gifts for all of you at the end of this 4-day series. And so today I would like to offer you the first step in finding that support. And I have a 30-minute, it's a free 30-minute session one-on-one with me. I call it your Jumpstart Your Healthy Life, where we sit down together. We take all these tools. We take the vision board. We take the themes that have come out. We take the strategies that we have started talking about, and we apply them to your life so we can design this long-term vision of where you are going with your health. So if you are interested in sitting down with me one-on-one, it's over the phone. You can be anywhere. You do not have to be local to where I am. We'll sit down on the phone together and we will map this out and get you started there. And we will figure out where your support is going to come from. We can see if it's a fit for us to do more work together or if it's a better fit for you to find that support somewhere else. So in the comments section of this video, I will put the link to my calendar so you can sign up for a Jumpstart Your Healthy Life session with me. Now, I only have a few slots open over the next couple of weeks, and then the sessions are going away. So I hope you sign up today. Don't wait. Let me know that you have signed up so I can keep my eye out for you. And I can't wait to talk to you further about what you are going to be doing for this long-term vision that you have for yourself. All right. So I think we are complete for this week. It has been such a pleasure to be here with you for the last 4 days for your health boot camp. I can't wait to see which of these strategies you start implementing. Keep the conversation going on our Facebook page. Let me know how it's going. Check in every once in a while and say, wow, this one really made a difference. This one didn't work so well for me. I always love to hear about those things. And make sure you click on the calendar link so you can sign up for your Healthy Jumpstart session. And I will talk to you soon and we will get those details really ironed out so you have a clear vision and a clear path ahead of you to get the health that you want so that you can be in front of your health and it can be a foundation for you, not a worry. So have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your Valentine's Day today. Make sure you spend some time today loving yourself and honoring yourself and finding what is it that I need to do for me right now. And I can't wait to talk to you on your Jumpstart Your Healthy Life session very, very soon. Mwah.